Hey there, my name is Zach and I'm a bot builder here at Klaunch, and today I'll be showing you how to update and upload users into your Kbot account. Now, first of all, you see we're on a dashboard here. So first things, I'm going to show you updating via the chats page. Now there's a whole video on the chats page. This is not the de facto informational video for it, but this is going to have some helpful information for when you want to edit your users. So over here on the right-hand side, you do see a user card or a column or whatever you want to call it, but it is a spot for you to edit your users. Now, first, I'll show you what it's probably going to look like for you is you'll have no users field selected. So it's going to just look like sort of a blank thing with no user info. But we can change that via this pencil. We can choose which fields we want to see. And we hit save. And now I can also click into any of these fields and update them. So let's say I click into email and I want to edit and make it email@mail.com. Or if I want to change my username, I can say Zach J. Or if I want to change my name up here, the name is sort of a special field here that pops up at the very top. I can just say Zach Jones. And that's just a super quick overview. You can also add flags. I believe my camera's covering it, but there is a little flag icon for changing flags. Choose your flag, click add. Easy as that. Now next I'll show you the users page under settings, users. There's a whole entire table of all your users. You see we have 123. These are all just example users, so these are not real phone numbers that I've pulled up. They're made up ones. But you can search through here. With any data you see in these 5 columns, you can use them as a search term. So if I'm looking for user 63, which is Anthony Carter, I could search 63. Now, of course, this is going to return anyone with 63 in their phone number or even their email. So it's not going to be particularly useful to just search up a number. But if you're looking for Anthony Carter, you could look up Carter. You'll see there's a bunch of them because I've done a lot of uploads with the same people. But this is just a training server, so that this is not what yours is going to look like more than likely. But that is all there. So next you can also edit your users here, though. That's really the most important part. You can just click on them, change the first name, last name, add flags. You can remove flags. And you can change any of these fields. So 801 address. Maybe I want to change the city to city. Maybe I have my renewal date as tomorrow. Now, the format of this data is going to be based on your own solution and how you're using these fields. But this is a place that you can change things and go ahead and save it. And it's easy as that. If I click back on myself, then I'm going to go ahead and see that the fields I did change are here. Quite easy and quite self-explanatory as well. So now we'll look at the meat of this page, which is uploading and adding users. And the user uploads are going to be in 2 specific areas or reasons. The first one's going to be brand new users that do not exist in Kbot yet. And by the way, we decide if a user exists based on if their phone number is in Kbot. So all these phone numbers that are already in Kbot, I could try uploading new users to them, but they already exist, so I couldn't actually add a new user there. But in the case that I'm talking about here with brand new users, you can add any fields you want, but if that user already exists, I couldn't change any of the data here. So that's just important to keep in mind. The only thing you can change when you upload a user sheet with an existing user is you can change the flags. So you could always add more flags via a user upload. You just can't really change the field once they've already been set. And the goal there is to actually be asking the user to provide additional information if they need to have additional information. You can do that via the bots. So that's helpful. Now, the other thing here, or what we really want to talk about here, is the add users and upload user CSV. Now, add users is sort of the simple way, the manual way to just add users with only a couple of the fields. Now, obviously, this isn't the 20 some odd fields you saw on our profiles before. This is just the main ones that matter. So you could always add, maybe the clients are sitting right in front of you. You want to put them in the account and you want to send them a text message. You could do that super easily via this method. But I don't really find myself using that because I'm usually working with user uploads. So let's look at this button as well as these examples right here. So first and very importantly, the example of the user upload is right here at this link. And you can easily download it and it'll tell you pretty much all you need to know because the formatting is relatively simple, but there are some things to keep in mind. So let's look at formatting help though to really get an understanding here. So the first 4 headers must be fname, lname, phone, and email. And you can add more if you just start adding new headers. It's easy as that. And the next piece is going to be flags. We'll ignore this for now. That's for a whole nother video. But assigning flags to imported users is also done the same way as just adding a new header. But the flags header is sort of a special one, which is when it's found, it's going to add flags to that user. You can add more than one flag by putting a semicolon between flags. And then phone number format. This is important. KBot will not accept your upload if the phone number format is wrong. It's got to be in the +1 and then 10-digit long code format. And we'll get more into that in the uploads. And finally, your CSV cannot exceed 3,000 rows. So if you have 12,000 row user upload, you need to split it up into 4 parts and then upload all 4 parts. The goal there is to avoid overloading our servers or just your account, because we want to make sure text messages are being sent out in real time and not with a delay. And this could cause a delay if you're uploading a very large user file. So now, as I said, there is the example here. So we'll jump into this example, which I've already downloaded. We're going to look at this one. You see, we've got some valid data here with all these headers. And the only problem in this file is that these phone numbers do not have a plus in front of them. That's partially because I brought it into Excel, which does not like adding a plus in front of numbers when they're already positive. So that's sort of a quirk of Excel, but I'll show you how we can get around that because I do figure most people are going to be using some variant of Excel. But also notice that there's certain users that don't even have all the information for themselves. And that's okay. It's going to still upload a user profile with this information. However, keep in mind that users without phone numbers are not all that useful to our solution because we are a texting platform primarily. And if you don't have a phone number, you're not going to be doing any outbound text messaging. And also, though, if you're trying to upload Amy Malone, again, you can upload, you would be able to upload as many as you want because the phone number is the thing we're looking for existence in KBot. So realistically, I could easily have Amy Malone here several times with no phone number, and I would upload this person several times. But it's not very useful because there's no phone number, once again. Just a quick example. Let's look at a more involved example of a user upload, which I have created here. All that has changed is the phone numbers, because the primary thing I find myself changing in user uploads is the phone numbers into the correct KBot format. So let's fix these. I'm going to go ahead and select my phone numbers, hit Control F and replace. Now there's more than one way to do everything, and that involves this as well. You could always use formulas, or you could use an automated program or a script that formats these on its own. But in our case, we're usually using uploads from completely different sources every time. So it's not entirely useful to write a code or program to deal with this for me. So I just do it manually. Now I'm going to start by replacing these characters that I don't want. So these parentheses, these dashes, and spaces, and these dots. They're all characters that KBot will not want in our phone number. So I'll just replace, each one with nothing here. So you see I'm just putting the character in, replace with nothing. Dashes with nothing, spaces with nothing, and dots with nothing. Oops. And now that we get through all of those little error sounds, our phone numbers are much closer. Now all that's missing is the one in front. So once again, my quick, easy manual way of doing this is by throwing a plus in front. And now our phone numbers are ready to just have the plus, or excuse me, add the plus in front of the 1, that is. So all these phone numbers are the 1 and then 10-digit number. All we need is the plus. So I'm going to go into formatting, more number formats, custom, and then I'll do a +0. Hit OK. So now our phone numbers are in the proper format. Another common thing I've seen is where the names are actually combined. So maybe you just have a name column and you have the first and the last as the same exact cell. So all you have to do there is you can split up your data with this data to columns. Let me get rid of this zoom. So if I do text to columns, I could easily select this and I can do text to columns, and I can go through here. And based on my situation, I can split them up into several columns instead of just the one. And that's usually how I deal with that. But there's more than one way to do that, and I will let you decide how you want to handle that situation. It's not as common. But let's look at how we could add flags in other fields. So I could add my flags column, and this will let me do whatever flag I want to each user. So I'll just kind of automate that and add flag 6 to this person. And you'll see I just added a semicolon to separate them. So flags are pretty simple, really. That's all you got to do to add them. And if you don't understand what a flag is, it's basically just a label for a user. And it's a label that we can use within the logic of the bots to be treating users in certain ways based on maybe information they provided or how maybe they've been in person to this place and we want to make sure we're acknowledging them as a repeat customer, stuff like that. If you haven't seen the flags video, though, I'd recommend checking that out if you want to get a full comprehensive understanding. But now let's look at new fields. So fields are just the same thing as what we did with flags. I just start adding them, and it just accepts it into KBot. I've got field 1 and field 2, and I'm just going to put some dummy information in here so I can show you. Keep in mind that you want to make sure your fields are sort of named in the proper ways that you are going to be using for your situation so that you know what they're doing. But in my case, this is a training video, and these are just examples. So now we do have a completely valid user upload with field 1 and field 2 being added to KBot and these flags being added to our users and the phone number having the correct format, which once again, I'll show you is +1 and then the 10-digit number, which is usually a 3-digit area code, or it always is a 3-digit area code, and then your 7-digit long number. So now let's go ahead and try uploading this. Could upload user CSV, open. And you see we got to the point of having our users being previewed to us. Now, if you don't get to this point, you're probably you will get an error and KBot will tell you what the problem is. But keep in mind, KBot is only going to tell you the first problem it found, not every problem. So frequently when you have one problem, there's probably another problem somewhere else that's related, right? So just check out your whole file if you get an error, make sure everything looks correct. But now that we're here at the preview, this is a good chance to check that all of your users are getting the info you expect. And what I'll frequently be doing is I'll grab a phone number and I'll check my Excel file and make sure that that person has the same info. And I might just take a random sampling. But for smaller uploads like this, you can pretty easily check over every user and make sure they're correct flags wise and everything. But for bigger uploads, it's a lot easier to just take a sampling and make sure the sampling is correct. But now I feel good about this upload, so I'll do save users. And I noticed I had field 1 and field 2 are new fields. So I can either create these, ignore them, or cancel the upload altogether and do nothing with the data. But in my case, I want to create these fields. So now it says I have submitted my upload, and it'll let me know when it's done based on a notification bell at the top right. Now I believe my camera is covering it, but there is a notification up in the top right corner here. If I click the bell, then I get your user CSV import has completed. So I can hit info, and I can see the results. So we had 13 successes and no failures because it already existed and no failures for formatting reasons. And we successfully added flags to 11 users. Now let's look at this number 13 because that is a little bit off, but it's mainly because I did have some data down here. So it tried adding users that are just empty to my solution, which isn't always the best thing, but do keep in mind that's sort of how KBot sees it, is these are 2 empty rows in your data. So we'll still try. But that is correct. Now we have 11 users with flags being added. So I'm going to pop back over here, click OK. I'm going to click users here to update my user list. And if I want to just search for, say, Jerry, I'll grab their phone number, search for it, and there's Jerry, right? And Jerry has field 1 is 8 and field 2 is 9. So I'd expect to see field 1 is 8, field 2 is 9, which is correct. And I'd expect to see flag 8 and flag 9 here as well. And I do see flag 8 and flag 9, which is great. Select cancel, we're all done there. So that's an example of uploading your users with brand new information. Now, the other way I said was if you might upload just a phone number list with the flags, and that would look something like this, where I would just be uploading not even names or emails or even fields, just flags. And this is pretty common to do when you need to add flags to users. It's also common to upload users with flags, of course, but give me 1 second. All right, excuse me, had to sneeze real quick. But that's an example of how we might upload flags to users. Now, once again, I'll just reiterate that you can only upload new user profile information 1 time. Once the user exists with a phone number in our solution, you're not going to be able to use a user upload to change their user profile data. Really need to hit that home. It's important. But you can always edit them manually if you need, or set up your bots to ask for that information yet again. Now, before we wrap this up, I'll show you how you can get rid of certain fields. So I've accumulated a lot of fields in this account that I really don't need. So let's go through and find those fields. So new field 11, I don't want, and I don't want new field 0 or 01. And I also don't want field 1 or field 2. So let's just go ahead and delete those fields I just selected. And you see it lists it all out for me. And now they're gone. So once I delete that stuff, though, it does get rid of the data that's associated with the user. So be careful there. But that is a way you can clean up your user listing here. Now you see I don't have any of those sort of uninformative field names. But that does wrap up our user upload and user updating video here. So be sure to check out the rest of our KBot videos. There's a lot to learn about KBot. And of course, if you need more help, you can always reach out to us. We're always available. And be sure to have a good day. Thank you.